Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where I just realized I forgot to start like this and then go like this. Perfect. We're off to a wonderful start. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and hop into mission control here and take a look at what we've got available here. Now, last episode we just finished up our corvettes, so we need to do something else. And these aren't very inspiring, if I'm honest. None of this is what I want to do here. What I want to do is I want to get started on our mission to Jool. In order to do that, there's a couple of things that I'd like to do. First off, I want to hop into the tracking station and see just how long it's going to be until our solar station is going to be in a good position here. So that's the fuel module there. About 3 years. So we've still got plenty of time here. That's fine. I don't really want to advance those 3 years. Let's check our contracts and see if there's anything else we need to do. I don't think there is other than the solar station. Contracts. Yeah, just the solar station. So that's fine. So instead, I'd like to get started on that Jool station. Now, we can't exactly do a mining station over Jool, right? So what does that actually mean? Well, we're getting minerals in Stellaris from Jupiter, right? So we can't exactly do that in KSP. But what we could do is we could create a system where we just kiss the atmosphere of Jool and suck up gas. This would be fictional, of course. KSP doesn't let you do this. But we could suck up gas with air intakes and then bring that back to the station to be refined into fuel. That's something we could theoretically do. It wouldn't actually work in the rules of KSP, but that's kind of what I'm thinking right now. So that station, we would definitely want it to be unmanned, just because we have very few Kerbals left. So we'd want it to be unmanned, and we'll just have it be like a cupola module to start with. It'll be an empty cupola module. And then we will put in an ASAS. So we would need, or rather we'd need a remote guidance unit. Maybe even a bigger one. There's not a bigger one. We could have one like that. It blocks the top window, but that's okay. So, what else would we need on this? Well, we would need some form of ore processing for sure. Now, this wouldn't actually take in ore. This would take in gas. Quote unquote. It would be completely fictional, of course. And we would also need some storage for that gas. So, these aren't really what we're looking for, now that I think about it. We want some sort of fuel tank for it, probably. So, let's go into fuel tanks in here, and let's look at our options. Xenon canisters. Xenon is a gas. What if xenon was what we were actually making here? Now, I don't think this can make xenon. I don't think there's any way to make xenon in the stock game. But what if that was what we were refining on this station? That would be interesting, right? We need a big ol' xenon canister here. So we'd go for... is there a larger one? I feel like there isn't. And we could power this with an electric propulsion system, or probably 4 of them. I mean, the thrust is incredibly low on these. That's definitely something to keep in mind. Okay, so I think here's the concept here. We would have this Jumbo 64. Actually, I'm going to downgrade that to a 32 tank. Like this. That we will lift full. And then we're going to put on an engine plate. This engine plate is going to be a EP25. And we're going to put this in 4x1 mode. Like that. Then we're going to have just a tiny little poodle engine here. Or actually, a terrier is the size that we'd want, I bet. Let's see here. That might work. And then we'd want quad dawns on the outside. Like that. In fact, we might even want more dawns than this. 8x1? Sure. Something like that. Now, we need some xenon on this, for sure. So, let's take a look at what we have available for fuel tanks here. Get rid of that. And I want to find any xenon tanks that are available, but I think it's only these 3 sizes. There's the radial version, there is this small version, and there is this smaller version. They're not exactly intended to be used in this manner. That's for sure. But we could put on, say, 8x, like this. How long would that burn for, as is? 834 seconds. Now, that's only 12 meters per second of delta V. But at full altitude, that's 506 meters per second right there. I wish that we could fill this with xenon gas. I'm just thinking here, maybe we want to do this a little bit differently. So we take this out of here, and we actually get rid of this as well. And let's just make this be purely unmanned. It was always going to be unmanned, but we'll just have it be a standard remote guidance unit. And then we're going to want to have an adapter. And we want this to be a fuel adapter, ideally. Is it spelled with an E? Perhaps it is. Okay, so we'd want this to be not that guy. This guy. Like that. Okay, and then we're going to put in some xenon gas up here. And we'll have that be... this is the largest size. We'll have to put it on top. And it's ugly, and I hate it. Okay, so maybe we can do something like this. I mean, it's still pretty ugly. That now means that we have a whole lot more burn time here. Look at that delta V in phase 1, or rather stage 1 here. That is insane delta V. Now, this isn't going to lift off, obviously. We'll have to get it into orbit somehow. We're going to need a few other things on this as well. We're going to need power generation. And out at Jool, power generation can be kinda spicy to get. Photovoltaic panels are starting to not be tremendously great. We should definitely have a rechargeable battery bank on this. No doubt about that. I do think that something along the lines of quad gigantors would not go amiss. Something along the lines of this. And then we'd want to have some docking ports on this. So we would definitely want to put on a pair of docking port juniors. And we put those, say, here. Not the most visually amazing position, is it? I think I'm going to put the gigantors here and the docking ports here. And we'll swap these around as well. There we go. So something a bit more like that. We would probably want some sort of a nose cone up here. Just a shielded docking port? That could work. And then we would need some form of refinery, right? So I think that we would just have... It's going to be fictional. So I think that we would just have something along the lines of a Convertitron 125. I mean, we don't have a lot of xenon storage on this thing, right? So a 125 should be able to fill this up, hypothetically. Now, we don't have any gas storage, except for these spent fuel tanks. That's the idea there, is that we would store the gas in here. Now, we'll need a probably variant of our corvette in order to service this. And we'll probably send 2 of those up and have, like, 1 dock to each of these. And then do, like, 1 quote-unquote operational flight. That's probably going to be the idea there. Now, we're going to need a decoupler down here. So we'll put in a TD-25, like that. That shroud is disgusting. That is not what I was hoping for. But I guess it'll do. And I mean, this thing will get anywhere we want it to if we just get it into orbit. So let's go ahead and lift this up a bit. We do have a reaction wheel in this remote guidance unit, and that'll have to be good enough. We don't have RTGs available. That's one thing that we did not manage to unlock. And in fact, I'm going to call this the Jool station. And we're going to save this, and let's see if we do, in fact, have RTGs unlocked. We may have the science, but I don't think we've gotten a significant amount of science recently. 437.1. Okay, so that's not great. We need 1,500 to unlock RTGs, so yeah, that's not going to be a thing. Okay, well, we'll hop back into the VAB. And we'll continue working on this. So I definitely want to strut up this joint, right? I don't think that that's going to be particularly strong. And we'll just put in struts from here to here. Not there. From here to here. No. From here to here. No. Will this only work in quad mode? Ah, there we go. That worked. Fantastic. That should be plenty of strength. This is a very tall rocket. There's no doubt about that. Aerodynamics are going to be a potential issue. Let's see what it looks like lifting this with a mainsail in terms of thrust to weight. 1.23. It's not great. I think we would want to heavy lift it. So we will go ahead and put in a couple of radial decouplers here. We're probably not going to need more than bicoupling. And then we will put in our SRBs. And I'd like... Are Clydesdales overkill? I feel like Clydesdales are overkill. I think we're going to go with Polluxes. Yeah, that's much better. We're going to move this down. And then we're going to move the whole structure down. About like that. That'll do. And then we're going to need some aerodynamics on this, of course. We'll put in, I believe it was these guys, right? Yeah, it was these guys. Perfect. We're going to need to strut them in. So we will go ahead and do that. And we will also strut them down here just to make sure that they stay nice and solid. There we go. And if we check this, that is more than enough thrust to weight. In fact, that's pretty slow off the pad. I think we'd want to burn it like this, but not at full thrust. Okay, so what else are we potentially missing here? We've got power, kind of. We're not going to have the best power out there. Communications, that's what we don't have. We do not have comms on this, and that is a problem. We need some powerful comms here. That's 100G. That's not a relay antenna. But that's okay. That's 2G. We've been using these RA-15s. I would like to have a relay antenna on this, but that is huge and unretractable. So I think, given the fact that this is the same range, I think we'll put a retractable antenna on this. Right there. And when we extend that out, that will give us the comms that we need, in theory. We don't have any comms up over there, so we're likely to lose signal when we go behind Jool, but that's okay. We can always put up commsats if we need to, but I don't think it's strictly speaking necessary. Well, probably not a terrible idea, is it? Regardless, I think this is pretty much ready to go. We've got our way to convert gas into xenon gas. Allegedly. It doesn't technically work, but we're pretending it does. We've got some xenon gas containers here and here. We have the docking port to move the gas into here, as well as to refuel the xenon gas that we're probably going to use for the flybys. Probably. Yeah, I think that's good to go. Let's save and launch. No, it's not good to go. We don't have aerodynamics on this. This is going to be spicy aerodynamics. I can tell you that right now. Do we want to just try it and see how it goes? Do it in sort of a pseudo simulation? Oh yeah, this bug still. Yeah, that's still a thing. Unfortunate. I think it's just a visual bug, but it's obnoxious to be sure. Okay. So yeah, I mean, do we want to try this for hilarity reasons? You know what? Let's go ahead and do it. I can eat the cost if necessary. Do it. Okay, we're going to throttle this down immediately. We're fast off the pad. I'm going to put it at like half throttle here. And we'll throttle it up a little later. Like as these get close to burning out. Our thrust to weight is plenty high, right? So that should be fine. We're going to start heading on over. Now, we're probably okay on aerodynamics as long as we've got the SRBs. I have a sneaking suspicion that the moment we ditch the SRBs, we're going to have some real aerodynamics issues, and the only reason I'm doing this is for sheer entertainment value. Let's see what we've got. Our current apoapsis is what? We're definitely getting a little more speed than we need. I'm going to completely cut our liquid-fueled engine. You can see here we're already starting... Well, maybe we're not starting to drift off a little bit. But yeah, cutting our liquid-fueled engine definitely did the trick there. Okay. 14 kilometers with an apoapsis of 25. Throttling up. Stage separation. Little bit of tumbling wanting to go on, but actually I feel like we might be okay. Yeah, honestly, I think we're fine. The SRBs carried us through the danger point. Let's just head on over to the prograde marker. I'm keeping it a little slow here. And let's hold here. Okay, we're watching the apoapsis at this point. We're looking for around probably 80 kilometers, I think, is our target here. I'd like to have a pretty good amount of margin. $70 kilometers. $80 kilometers. Okay, so let's go ahead and put in our maneuver node here. And there we go. We'll go ahead and circularize that about like so. We'll head over to that maneuver node. And this will need to be burned in a while. We'll see if we end up having enough DV to get ourselves into orbit here without having to dip into this. I'm going to assume that we do and burn this at T-minus 24. But I'm not 100% convinced that we do. So let's go ahead and physics warp as we turn here. We are now in vacuum. That's better, for sure. Okay, so 33 seconds is actually when we want to burn this at, T-minus 33. We'll go ahead and do that. We are slowly making our way over to that node, but there's not much that we've got. I'm going to extend our solar panels, and we do want to start this burn. There we go. And of course, the reason we went with quad Gigantors is because we know that we're not going to have huge amounts of effectiveness with solar panels out at Jool. And we'll be ditching this stage very shortly here. I'm actually surprised that this worked. Well, not necessarily, actually, because the SRBs managed to get us through the danger point, and once that happened, then we knew we'd be fine. So we'll be staging here in a moment, and I want to combine those stages like so. And... stage. There we go. Fantastic. And we just need this last little bit of DV here. Bring our periapsis up. Okay. So we're out of electric charge right now, and that's the reason why these engines kicked off. But as soon as we come out of the shadow of Kerbin here, that will, of course, fix itself. And we can head off towards Jool. It'll be a while before we get there, to be sure. Let's go ahead and warp forward so that we can get some power. That would be nice. And any moment now, we're going to come out into the daylight. There we go. Are we not getting electric charge? Oh, no, we did. Okay, good. I just missed it. That's completely fine. So we're going to get rid of that. And where's the moon right now? There? Okay, so we're going to want to burn probably somewhere around here is my gut feeling. Maybe a little later. Yeah. This looks good here. That's maybe slightly low on that periapsis. But we definitely want to get flung out here. And, I mean, we don't actually get to see that far, but that's okay. So we'll turn our SAS on and head over to that maneuver node. We should be able to turn much, much faster in theory now, but not swiftly. It's just faster relative. So we'll position for this burn, and we'll get ourselves a gravity assist out of the Kerbin system. Okay, we'll go ahead and warp to this point. It's going to be a pretty lengthy burn. We're going to want to burn this at, let's see, 3 minutes and 59.5 seconds, I think. Or 2 minutes and 59.5 seconds, actually, is when we want to burn this. So we'll go ahead and warp towards that, and this is not the most thrust to weight we've ever seen. So that's fine. And we want to burn this, in fact, now. You can see our electric charge really dipping here. And that's because we're not in an ideal alignment here for our Gigantors. In fact, I'm going to see if we can get ourselves some roll going here to get ourselves in better alignment for our Gigantors. We're going to be starting to lose thrust on some of these engines. Although now we appear to be getting good power flow. So that's great. That is, of course, exactly what we want, is good power flow. And we need to hold this orientation as much as possible. Otherwise, we're not going to have the power flow required for this. Okay. So let's go ahead and physics warp this burn. And there we go. We are off to Jool. So we've still got a lot of fuel left to burn off. This Terrier, it's going to take a while to burn off all this fuel. But that is completely fine. We've got a lot of time left for this. How is our electric charge looking? It's looking absolutely fine. That is wonderful. So we've got about another 3 minutes of burn time here. And that will be just fine. We'll have to, of course, fine-tune our orbit a little bit later on, but we can see here our apoapsis is rising up nicely. This is certainly not a quick way to get to Jool, but it should get us there, in theory. This should be more than enough TV, right? Boy, I hope this is enough DV. I did not look at a DV map. I did not look at a DV map at all, but it should be plenty. Just going purely by my gut here. Okay, so let's go ahead and pull out of the physics warp. And we're going to continue burning on this attitude until we reach such a point that we have escape from the Kerbal system. I'm going to continue burning these last 3-point-some meters per second. That's good. Okay. Of course, this is our target. Way out there. Way out there. It is, however, time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and next episode, we are going to take this out to Jool. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and I will see you all next time.